Continuing with mathematical functions. In this lesson, we're going to continue to explore mathematical functions. It's important for you to remember as we begin that there are two ways to use functions and formulas in Excel. You can type them directly into the cell if you're already familiar with them, or you can go to the Formulas tab that provides you with dialog boxes to guide you as you use different functions and enter the formulas. In this lesson, we'll discuss measuring time in Excel, calculating time and date functions, rounding decimals, the mod and int functions, generating random numbers, calculating loans and investments, and loan calculation functions. Time in Excel uses a colon. Time is registered as hour, minute, second. In the screen here, we've entered the time as 1:30. If we look at the formula bar, we see the time along with AM. Notice that the seconds are also displayed. Seconds automatically show up in the formula bar whether you enter them or not. Excel measures time as a portion of the day. As you've already witnessed, Excel is a mathematical program in many ways. By measuring time as a portion, it allows Excel to assign a value to it. If we change the cell formatting of this cell to general, we can see that the time has been converted to a decimal. 1:30 AM is converted to roughly 0.06, meaning 1:30 AM is 0.06 of a day, or of a 24-hour period. 12 o'clock would be 0.5, or half of the day. Because Excel converts time to a decimal behind the scenes, it can figure out the difference between one time and another, or add up time. Some things to remember about time in Excel. If you want to enter the time as AM or PM, make sure you put a space between the time and either AM or PM. This way, Excel will recognize it as time. If you want to enter minutes and seconds but not hours, you'll still need to enter a 0 value for the hour, then the colon, and then enter your minutes. If you want to figure out the difference between two times, you subtract one time from the other. The formula is equals time minus time. For example, if we have the time 2:30 AM, we can subtract 1:30 from 2:30 by going equals the first time minus the second time. This will give us 1 AM or 1 hour. As we just discussed, Excel converts time to a decimal. Even though you must enter time using colons so that Excel recognizes it as time, it still converts it to a decimal behind the scenes. The number that contains a decimal represents a portion of a 24-hour day. Again, 0.5 would be half a day. That said, performing calculations using time follows the same formulas as performing calculations using other numbers. In this worksheet here, we've entered the time worked for 3 employees. Notice that we enter the time using a 24-hour clock. 1 PM is entered as 13 hours. If we wanted to enter a 1 PM instead of 1300, we would need to enter a space after the 1:00 and then enter PM. Next, we're going to calculate the number of hours worked for each employee. We did this in the last section, so we're just going to go ahead and fill in the formula and let Excel perform the calculations. To do this, we go equals the out time minus the in time. To copy the formula, we can drag it down to these two cells here. Now we want to figure out the total number of hours worked by each employee. We can do this by entering a total row, then adding up these 3 cells here. You can also perform SUMIF, average if, and any mathematical function that you need to calculate the time data. When you're working with times and dates in Excel, there are a few functions that you'll find extremely helpful. Let's have a look at these times here. In each cell, we have the hour and the minutes. If we look at the formula bar, we can also see the seconds. We can take these individual times and extract them so that the hour, minute, and second appear in different cells. Let's do the hour first. We enter the formula called hour into this cell. Then we open the brackets, and then put in the cell that we want to calculate the hour for, and then close brackets. We can also go to the Formula tab, click on the Date and Time button, and then choose Hour to get the same formula. The same holds true for minutes. We can also go to the Formula tab, click on Date and Time, and then go to Minute. Now we can do seconds. Once again, you can choose the second formula from the Date and Time drop down here. As you can see, the hours, minutes and seconds has been split up into different cells. We can put the time back together by using the time formula. The first parameter is the hour, then we press comma, and then the minute, then another comma, and then second. Once we have that, we can close the brackets, and you can see that the time is now 4:55 AM. We can also go to the Formula tab, click on Date and Time, and then choose the time function. Because of the cell formatting, our times are showing as AM. To change this, we apply the time format to our cells, choosing the time format we want to appear in these selected cells. To format the cells, right-click on the cell and then choose Format Cells. Choose Time from the section on the left, and then choose a format that you want to display. We can also extract dates in the same manner. Have a look at these dates here on this worksheet. We can extract these dates and place the month, day and year in different cells. Let's take a look at the formula for month. This is called month. As you can see, it's taken the month from this particular date. We can also get this formula by going to the Formulas tab, clicking Date and Time, and going to Month. Now let's try the day formula. Now let's try the year formula. As you can see, it's showing the month, day and year. You can find all these formulas under the Date and Time section on the Formulas bar. Just as we combine the hours, minutes and seconds for time using the time function, we can combine the dates again by using the date function. First is year, and then month, and then day. As you can see, the date has been reconstructed. Excel has a function for just about every calculation that you will need to perform. This includes rounding decimals. Let's add in some decimal numbers here. We are going to learn the functions for rounding, rounding up, and rounding down decimals. The first thing we can do to round a decimal doesn't involve a function, however. Click on the cell that contains a decimal. Go to the Numbers group under the Home tab, and click the Decrease Decimal button, as you can see here. With each click of the button, Excel removes one decimal place from the number in the selected cell. As you can see, I've clicked the button twice. It's important to realise that when you do this, the number that's displayed in the cell changes because you removed the decimal places. However, if you look at the formula bar, the number is still the same. The value stays the same, but the way it's displayed in the cell is different. Click the Increase Decimal button to the left of the Decrease Decimal button to increase and add the decimal places back to the cell. If you actually want to round a decimal place, you can use 3 different functions: round, round up, and round down. Let's learn how to use the round function to round the decimal points to a specified number of places. You'll type equals round, and then open the brackets, and then you put in the cell that you want to round. For the second parameter, after we put in the comma, we put in the number of decimal places that you want to round to. We're going to pick 2. Once we've put our formula in, our rounded decimal still has the same number of decimal places as the original decimal, however, it has been rounded. To perform this function, we can also go to the Formula tab, click on Math and Trig, and then scroll down to find round. If we want to round a decimal down, we use the round down formula. Let's enter it into this cell here. Again, choose the cell with the original decimal value and then the number of places you want to round down to. This is our cell. And then we have 2 decimal places. Finally, let's round up. This formula is then called round up. As you can see, the formula has been rounded up. You can also find these functions under the Math and Trig section on the Formulas tab. Mod and int are good to use when working with division formulas. Int will produce a result that's a whole number, and mod will produce only the remainder. Here we've put in some sample numbers, as well as the regular division formula. When we press tab or enter, we can see the results. Now let's use the int function. Remember, int will give us the whole number without the remainder. It doesn't round the number, it just shows the numbers to the left of the decimal point only. To do this, type in int, and then refer to that formula cell. As you can see, we have the 46 number, which is a number without any of the decimal places. Now let's use the mod function. Notice that with the mod function, we add the main number and then the divisor. Notice that the remainder is 11. 11 represents 0.916 of the number 12, which is the divisor. This gives us a whole number to represent what is left over. You should note, to perform the mod and int, we can also go to the Formula tab, click on the Math and Trig function, and then choose either mod or int from this list. The mod function may seem like something you'll never use. However, it's commonly used to figure out whether the result is odd or even. Let's put in the number 53. Of course, we know that this number is odd, but we can also figure it out. Let's type in a formula. Let's start with the if statement, and then inside the if we type in mod. We've entered if mod followed by the cell that contains the number that we want to use. In this case, it's 53. Then we do comma and then 2. The divisor is 2 since we want to see if the main number 53 can be divided equally, therefore making it an even number. Next we tell Excel that if there is 0 left over, then the number is even. Otherwise, the number is odd. As you can see, Excel has determined that the number is odd. Please note that you don't have to worry about mastering the if function at this time. We'll talk more about the if function in an upcoming lesson. Excel 2013 allows you to generate random numbers within a specified limit. There are different reasons for doing this. The most simple reason being if you need to fill a worksheet with varying numbers that range, for example, from 50 to 500. The numbers produced will only be integers. To generate random numbers, you'll use this formula, the rand between formula. A random number is generated. Each time you refresh the cells or press F9 on your keyboard, the number will change. In this worksheet, we've created a worksheet of randomly generated numbers. Press F9 or recalculate the sheet and the numbers will change, but they'll all stay within our range. Excel 2013 is an excellent tool to use to calculate loans and investments that you may have. The PMT function allows you to determine the amount a loan payment will be, or the amount of savings when you have a goal you want to meet. In this worksheet, you'll see we have a loan for which we want to figure out the monthly payment. To figure out the payments, including interest, we're going to enter the formula. Let's start it out by entering equals PMT, followed by the opening bracket. Now we put in our rate, which is 7%. Since our interest rate is annual rate and not our monthly rate, we will need to divide the rate by 12, and then enter a comma. Next, we enter the number of payments we want to make. In our worksheet, that's 36, so we click on that cell. Enter another comma. PV stands for present value, so I want to click on the cell that represents the loan's present value, which is $10,000. FV stands for final value, and the type is the type of payment. These are optional and we don't need them for what we're doing. So now you can close the brackets and press enter. We can now see what our monthly loan payment would be. You can also go to the Formulas tab, click on the Financial button, and enter all the information directly into the worksheet into a dialog box instead. If you're just starting out to use this function, this might be the easier way. This is the dialog box that's shown. The same function can be used to figure out how much needs to be saved in order to reach a goal. In the example, we want to save $5,000 over 48 months. We've figured out we'll receive a 3% annual interest on our savings. Let's use the PMT function again. First of all, we enter our rate, which is 3% divided by 12. Then we enter the number of months. This time we enter 0 for PV because we haven't saved anything yet. Our final goal is 5,000, so that is the number we enter for the FV. Next we'll enter the type. The type is either 0 or 1 based on whether the payment will be made at the beginning or the end of the month. Now close the brackets. You can see the monthly payment of $98.17 will be needed in order to save $5,000 over a 48-month period. The PMT may not always be the number you're trying to figure out. Perhaps you need to know how many payments or what the interest rate will be. Let's learn to figure these numbers out. Have a look at this worksheet here. We see the first 7 numbers that we entered in the last section, then the monthly payment we produced using the PMT function. Now let's say we want to figure out the interest rate. You can see we entered a monthly payment in. This is a monthly payment we want to make, so we'll need to know what interest rate we will get. The function we'll use is rate. Some of the information Excel requests in the formula should look familiar to you now. Let's enter the information into the formula and close the brackets. You can now see the interest rate here, but it's not shown as a percentage. To format it as a percent, click on the percentage button up on the top here. If you want to increase the decimal places, you can do that. As you can see, the interest rate is 5.06%. If you see a negative percentage, your monthly payment is too low and you'll need to raise it. Now, let's figure out the number of months it will take to pay off our loan. We'll use the NPER function. The first parameter is the rate, divided by 12. The second parameter is our payment. The third parameter is the amount borrowed. Then we can close the brackets. As you can see, it takes just over 27 months to pay off this loan. Now let's discover how to figure out how much we can borrow if we can pay $500 per month for 36 months at a rate of 7%. We'll use the PV function. First, we put in the interest rate divided by 12. Then we put in the number of months. And then we put in our monthly payment. Then we close the brackets. You can see that the amount borrowed is just over $16,000. If we wanted, we could change the monthly payment and Excel will produce a new amount that we can borrow. As you can see here.